Welcome to another OTT Academy Key Stage 2 video. Today we are going to be learning how to do column addition with both 2-digit and 3-digit numbers. Remember, if you're finding it a bit tricky, you can pause the video at any time to give yourself longer to work on your answers. Great, so we're going to start really simple, just looking at a 2-digit number plus a 2-digit number. Now for this problem, we're not going to need to do any regrouping. Great, so the very first thing I want to show you is how we line up using the correct place value. So in our problem here, we have 32 plus 64. So I'm going to focus on the number 32 to begin with. So in 32, we have 3 tens and 2 units. So I've just written out here hundreds, tens and units as a bit of a guide for myself to remind myself that I need to line them up correctly. So I'm going to put my 3 tens and my 2 units. Now it is an addition problem, so I'm going to pop my plus sign to remind myself that I'm going to be doing adding. Okay, and I can do exactly the same with my number 64. So in 64, we have 6 tens and 4 units. Great, when I'm ready to start my problem, I can draw a line, and then this way I know that this is where I'm going to be writing my answer. So when we do any addition problem or subtraction problem, we always start with the column furthest to the right. So in this case, we have our units. Okay, so we're going to look at the units first. We have 2 plus 4 in our units column. So 2 units plus 4 units would give me 6 units. And I can write that 6 where I have given myself the space for the answer. Okay, once I'm happy with my units, I can move on towards the tens column. So I have 3 tens plus 6 tens. Okay, so 3 plus 6 will give me 9 tens or 90. 30 plus 60 would give me 90. Okay, so once I have worked my way through all of the columns, I can be happy that I've got my final answer, which is 96 for this problem. Fabulous, so I can show you again with another example of a 2-digit plus a 2-digit number. That's very simple addition, it doesn't need any regrouping. So for this we have 24 plus 71. I'm going to remember the first thing to do is to line up my digits in their correct place value column. So I have 2 tens and 4 units. I'm going to do my addition sign so that I remember that I am adding, plus 7 tens and 1 unit, so 71. Okay, when I've written out my problem, I can draw my line ready for my answer. So again, I'm going to start with the column furthest to the right, so the units column, and we've got 4 plus 1. Well, nice and simple, 4 add 1 is 5, and then we can move on to the tens column. Okay, now this time I've got 2 tens plus 7 tens, which would give me 7, 8, 9 tens. Okay, so sometimes it's a little bit easier if you need to start with the largest number to add on the smaller number after. Okay, now I haven't got to do any regrouping, so I'm quite happy that 24 plus 71 would give me the answer 95. Well done if you got that as well. Okay, as you can see, I've now written another problem on here. It is still 2-digit plus a 2-digit number, but it gets a little bit trickier because in this one, we are going to need to do something called regrouping, okay? Or you may have also called it carrying over. So we're going to start in exactly the same way, making sure that we line up our digits with their correct place value. So we've got 55, 5 tens and 5 ones, add 27, so 2 tens and 7 units. Okay, once I've done that, I'm ready to start looking at my units column. Okay, so it's starting in exactly the same way. Now we've got 5 plus 7, and this is where it gets a little bit tricky because 5 plus 7 is actually 12. Okay, now 12 is a 2-digit number, so what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to take the 5 and 7, which is 12, put our 2 units, and we're going to regroup the 10 from the number 12 and pop it into our tens column. Okay, so as you can see, I've still got a 1, 2, I've still got 12, but I've regrouped the 10. Instead of putting it into the units, I've moved it into this tens column. Okay, and once I've done that, I'm ready to move on. So now I can move over into my tens column and add these numbers here, always remembering to include my 1 that I've regrouped. So I've got 5 tens plus 2 tens, which is 7 tens, and I've got 1 more 10 from the regrouped 12, so I've got 5 plus 2 plus 1 would give me the answer 8 tens. Okay, so now that I've found all my tens, I've got none in my hundreds column, so I know that 55 plus 27 would give me the answer 82. Fantastic. Let me show you how to do that one more time with 2 digits plus 2 digits. So I'm going to make sure the very first thing is I use my guide to line up in the correct place value. So I have the numbers 38 plus 46. Okay, once I'm ready to begin, I can draw my line to make sure that I've got space for my answer. Okay, I'm going to start with my units. Remember, we're always starting with the column furthest to the right, which is our units. 8 plus 6. Okay, 8 plus 6 would give me the answer 14. So I'm going to put my 4 into my ones and remember to carry over my 10. Okay, so I've still got 14, 10 and 4, but I've moved the 10 into this tens column. Fantastic. So now I can look at my tens. We have 3 tens plus 4 tens plus 1 10. Okay, so 3 plus 4 is 7, plus 1 more 10 would give me 8 tens or 80. Okay, now I've got no hundreds here, so I know that my final answer to 38 plus 46 would be 84. Well done. Great, now on my board this time I've written the sum 26 plus 57. Pause the video here and have a go at answering this with regrouping the units into the tens. Once you've solved the problem, unpause the video and we will go through the answer. Good luck! Fantastic. Hopefully you got the answer 83 and your working out looks something a little bit like this. Okay, you should have started with your units column. 6 plus 7 would have given you 13. So we wrote the 3 units and we carried over the 10, which was regrouped into this tens column. Then we had 2 plus 5. Okay, 2 tens and 5 tens is 7 tens. Plus 1 more 10 would have given you 8 tens or 80. So your final answer to 26 plus 57 should have been 83. Well done if you got that correct. This time we're moving on to a 3-digit number, as you can see, 137 plus a 2-digit number, 49. Okay, and we need to make sure that we are lining this up in the correct columns. Okay, so it gets a little bit more tricky when the numbers aren't exactly the same number of digits. So in this one, we have 100, 3 tens and 7 units. And in our next number, we've got 0 hundreds. It's not got a 3-digit number, so we've got 0 hundreds, 4 tens and 9 units. Okay, But the same method is going to be used when I'm doing my addition. So I'm still starting with my units column, okay? The column always is furthest to the right that you start with. Okay, so I can do 7 plus 9, which would give me 16. I pop in my 6 units and I carry my 10 into the next column. Okay, so I've regrouped that 10. Now we can look at the tens column. So we have 3 tens plus 4 tens, which is 7 tens. And I need to remember to add my 10 that I regrouped. So I had 7, add 1 more would give me 8 tens. And now I can move over into my hundreds column. Now, as I said, we only got one number with 3 digits. So there's only one number in the hundreds column. If it's easy to just write the number 1, then you can go ahead and do that. However, if you find it a little bit tricky or you're unsure, you can always add in extra digits to make sure that you know that there's numbers in that column. So we can do 1 plus 0 because 49 doesn't have any hundreds. 1 plus 0 would still just be 1. So we should have got the final answer of 137 plus 49 is 186. Well done if you got that correct. This time we're moving on and we're using a 3-digit number plus a 3-digit number. So we have 328 plus 184. Now for this problem, we're going to need to regroup not just in the units, but we're going to also regroup our tens. So I'm going to show you how we do that. It's exactly the same method as when we regroup with our units. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is make sure that I'm lining up my numbers into their correct columns. So I have 3 hundreds, 2 tens and 8 units. It's an addition problem, so I'm remembering to put my plus sign, plus 184. Okay, now below that I can do my line ready for me to do my answer. Now, I can look at my units first, so 8 plus 4 would give me 12. Okay, now we remember that 12 is too large. I can't put a 2-digit into my answer. So I'm going to take the second digit, which is 2, and I'm going to regroup the 10 into the tens column. So I have 2 units and 1 10 in 12. Okay, once I've done that, I can move on to my tens column. So I have 2 tens plus 8 tens, which is 10 tens, plus 1 more, which is 11. Now, once again, 11 is a 2-digit number. I can't put a 2-digit number into my answer. So once again, I'm going to need to regroup. So I can put my 1, but I need to carry over the other digits into the hundreds column. Okay, so we've still got 11. All right, 1 and 1. We've still got 11, but we've had to carry over the 1 into the hundreds column. Now I can move over and look at my hundreds. So I have 3 hundreds plus 100, which is 400, and I can add 1 more 100, which would give me 5 hundreds. Okay, once I've done that, I know that I've completed my answer, and I've got 328 plus 184 would give me the answer 512. Well done if you also got this answer. Okay, so this time I've written out the sum 269 plus 543. Now this one will also need regrouping in the units into the tens and from the tens into the hundreds. But I'd like you to pause the video here and have a little go at answering this problem by yourselves. When you think you're finished, unpause the video and we will go through the answer. Good luck! Great, so hopefully you had no trouble with that, but just in case, we're going to go through this problem again, 269 plus 543, to make sure that we went through the stages correctly. Okay, so hopefully the first thing we did was we popped in our 269 plus 543 into their correct place value columns. Okay, once we've done that, then hopefully you remembered that we started with the units, so we did 9 plus 3, okay, and that would have given you the answer 12. Now we can't put a 2-digit number into the units, so we're going to write our 2 and we're going to regroup the 10 into the next column, our tens column. Okay, so we've still got 12. Now, once we've got that ready, we can move on to adding our tens. So we're going to do 6 tens plus 4 tens. Okay, so 6 plus 4 will give us 10. And then we've got to remember to add our final 10 that we regrouped. So 6 plus 4 plus 1 would give us 11 tens. Now again, 11 is a 2-digit number. So hopefully you remember to just put the second digit and we regroup the 1 into our hundreds column. So we've still got 11, but we've regrouped into this hundreds column. Great. Once we've done that, we can move on to add our hundreds. So we have 200s plus 500s, which would give us 700s, and then we need to add our final 100 on. So that would have given us 8 hundreds. Okay, so hopefully you got the answer, 812. Very well done if you did. Great, the final problem I'm going to show you is this one here. We still have a 3-digit number plus a 3-digit number, but in this problem we're actually going to need to regroup all of the columns. Okay, so feel free if you'd like to pause it and have a try by yourself. If not, keep watching and I'm going to explain how we do it. Okay, for this one, it starts exactly the same as all the others. We need to make sure that we've put our hundreds, tens and units into their correct place value columns. Now we are doing an addition problem, so we've got our plus sign there and I'm adding 875. Good. Once I've done that, I'm ready to start with my adding. So as always, I'm starting with the column furthest to the right. I'm looking at my units column. 9 plus 5. Now 9 plus 5 would give us the answer 14. Okay, so 9 plus 5 would give me 14. I'm going to write just the 4 and I'm going to carry over my 10. Okay, so I've written my number 1 there, regrouped into the tens column. Once I've done that, I'm ready to add my tens. So this time I've got 5 plus 7, which would give me 12 tens, plus 1 more. So I've got 5 plus 7 is 12, add 1 more is 13. Now again, I've got a 2-digit number. I can't write 2 digits into my tens, so I need to write my 3 from 13, and I need to regroup my 10 into the hundreds column. Okay, so I need to regroup that into this hundreds column. Right, once I've done that, I can now add my hundreds. But this time, it's a little bit trickier because if you can notice, this number is also going to give me a 2-digit answer. We've got 5 plus 8, which is 13, and we've got 14, okay, when we add that final 100. So we've got 14 hundreds. Now at the moment, again, it's difficult because I can't put 2 digits just in here. So we actually need to introduce a new column, okay? Now, after hundreds, we move into thousands, okay? So I'm going to add this column thousands, all right? Because I do need to make sure that I've popped in my 4 and I've carried over 1 into the thousands because I had 5 plus 8, 13, 14 when I add that final 1. So I've put my 4 because I've only got 1 digit, 4, and I've carried over into the thousands. Okay, now this time we've got no thousands in our first 2 numbers, but we have had to carry 1 over. So we've regrouped from the hundreds into the thousands. So we've got 1,000. Okay, so we can pop our 1,000 there. Now that should be the end of all of our addition, so we can draw a line under to show that we have finalised our answer, and we know that 559 plus 875 would give us the answer 1434. Well done if you had a go at that and you got it correct all by yourself. Thanks for watching and well done for working so hard with your maths. If you'd like to keep practicing your column addition, you can follow the links that we've attached with this video for you to do some practice at home. Well done, and speak to you again soon. Goodbye!